Part 5, the right people. You know, small business owners, for the most part, we're loyal to a fault. We feel like we're running a family business. We're creating and nurturing a family. And the people that got you here may not take you there. Some of them will and some of them won't. But as you change and as you try to go to the next level with your business, some of the people just aren't going to be able to take you there. You got to look at this team of people you have as a professional sports team. And as you know, a professional sports team is constantly looking for the best player in every position. And that's the way we have to be. We got to look for the right people and be able to say, yes, we got the right person in the right seat doing the right things right. And look at labor not as an expense, but as an investment. And you'll see in a moment why you can afford to get A players in every position of your company. Again, let's look at the leadership matrix. It starts with the right people. The other red areas here that I've highlighted here have to do with how do you find the right people? How do you know you have the right people? It all starts with people that believe in your mission, believe in your vision. People that are really keyed in on key results, that are accountable for results. They fit the team characteristics and the value of your company. And they're people that get engaged. They feel empowered. They're willing to take on and make decisions and to be able to be accountable for the results of those decisions. That's the kind of people we're looking for. Those are the kind of people we need to find and bring on board and then engage and empower and to get them making decisions and being accountable for results. That's what's going to build this team and build this company going forward and take it to the next level. Now, how about these A players? You know, how do you find them? There's something rare, something fine or far, something much more scarce than ability. It's the ability to recognize ability. As Conrad Hilton said, we don't train our people to be friendly, we hire them that way. So there are A players out there, and you got to be able to go out and find them. It starts with the characteristics of the people you're looking for. If you remember back to the mission statement, we had a mission statement of the who, what, where, and why we were of our business. And this is basically right underneath that was the characteristics of a team that could actually deliver on that mission over time. And in this case, we had characteristics of a team players. They're eager to learn and teach others. They have a deep knowledge of real estate and financials, interpersonal skills, empathy and patience for people, building long-term relationships. They like to do that. And every client is an opportunity. So you need your mission, and you need under your mission the characteristics of the team members that you need to be able to deliver on that mission. That's the starting point. Team values. New Zealand, the All Blacks. It's the best rugby team in the world from 1910 on through into the 1990s, into the early 2000s when the whole team fell apart. They won international championships, 80% of the time, basically. They dominated rugby around the world. And then they went on a skid and they went downhill and they lost games and they weren't doing well. And they came in, got a new general manager, got a new coach, and the new coach installed new values into this group of people. And first one was sweep the sheds. In other words, sheds are the locker room. So everybody did it. The coaches, the general manager, all the players cleaned up before and after in their locker rooms. That showed personal humility. Follow the spearhead. That's the values, not just skill. In other words, we're following our values. It's not just the skill of the players, but that are engaged with our values and with our characteristics. Keep the blue head. Keep it cool under pressure. Champions do extra. Committed to improving you and everything around you. And the last one, leave the jersey in a better place. Be an inspiration to kids. These are the values that they brought into the All Blacks, and over the last 7 to 8 years, they've again started to dominate the international scene. And there are, as they say, there are many great rugby players in New Zealand, but not all of them are going to be able to wear the All Black sweater. So what do we mean when we say an A player? Well, it's someone that's competent. They have the basic skills that are needed for the position that we put them in. But the most important thing is they're committed to learning, and they have a will and eagerness to learn and get better all the time. The third one is they're engaged. They have a thrill coming. They're engaged with the mission, with the vision, with the team, with their peers, with the characteristics that we talked about that we need in a team player. So those are the three basic things we look for. The last one's accountable for results. Of course, they work above the line, which we're going to talk about in a little while, but they take ownership of problems and issues and opportunities. They take ownership for it, they solve it, and they make decisions and go out and actually get the results, actually do the work that's necessary to get the results we're looking for. So basic skills, committed, they have the will, and they're engaged with the thrill. So it doesn't mean that this is the best guy in the world at their job. We all have employees who are highly skilled, been around for a long time, and they're very productive, but they may not have one iota of eagerness to learn or get better. They, in fact, push back when you offer suggestions on how they could do their job better or learn other things. They know it all, and they're not engaged at all. They're the ones that whisper after work or after a meeting about how this is a bunch of bull and they don't want to be part of it. So there are people with great skills and productivity, but they're not A players. They're actually bringing your company down. So those are the C players I'm talking about. They may be excellent and be experts at what they do, but they don't want to learn. They think they're the best at what they're doing. They don't want to talk about learning anything new or getting better in any way. They punch the clock and go home. They fight change. They vocally pour water over new initiatives. And they're accountable for being busy. Of course, they usually work below the line. They're victims, but they come in and they do their job and they get it done. But these people are the poison in your company. These are the people that your best team players may quit over because nothing's being done about them. They just see that they're getting by with things. The other part of a C player is somebody that isn't excellent and isn't highly productive. And those people are even the worse than the ones that we're talking about here. But these are people that bring down your organization. And even when they're very highly productive, they're costing the productivity of the company because they're pouring poison on every initiative and every change you're trying to make. This is what a team that is not made up of A players looks like. I've got it too, Omar, a strange feeling, like we've been going in circles. Many companies are like this. So these A players, they're not out looking for jobs. They're working for somebody else. And usually it's going to cost more to get them. But labor, you got to look at labor not as an expense, but look at it as an investment. It's the biggest line on your profit and loss statement or your financial statement as an expense. But we got to treat it as an investment, not an expense. So what's the return on that investment? Well, Skip Tyndall, who founded the Container Store, there are retail stores all over the country. They, for the last 25 years, have grown 20% compounded. It's an amazing success story. And when they ask him, he wrote a book called Uncontained, and the big key to the success of his business, he will tell you, is that they got A players in every position. He said, I don't want to pay people more. I want to pay great people more. So they do 30 interviews easily for every person they hire. And the key to this is they may pay him 20, and he does pay them 20 to 30% more than other retail employees in the country, but they produce 300% more. He runs his stores with only a third the number of people in those stores that other retailers do, because he's got A players in every position. So I think you see that it is an investment. Maybe I'm paying 20 to 30% more for those people, but I only have to have a third of them working for me. The productivity of your people is one of the two key levers to profitability. The other is gross margin. Everything else is peanuts. We even have a term for that, labor efficiency ratio. Revenue is vanity, gross profit is sanity, cash flow is king. So there's two key levers to profitability in a business that you have control over. And as I said, everything else is peanuts. It's gross profit and labor productivity. How do we measure labor productivity? It's called LER, labor efficiency ratio. and we simply take our gross profit dollars and we divide by our labor expenses, and we come up with a dollar figure. Maybe it's $2.50. And what that says is that for every dollar I spend on labor, how many dollars am I getting back in gross profit? Going back to the Container Store, he pays them 30% more, but he's getting 300% productivity, right? And that's what it would show up in this example. Every dollar spent on labor, how many dollars of gross profit am I getting back? And you'll find that that number actually you can do a direct correlation to the pre-tax profit of your company by looking at this efficiency ratio. Two great books, one Top Grading, and the other is Multiplication by Subtraction. Both talk about how you've got to upgrade your team and the things you as an owner go through, and the thought process we all go through when we look at C players in our operation. Maybe they've been there for 20 years. But you really got to start not running this like a family, but run this business like a professional sports team. Evaluate your team. You got to sit down and look at your team. Evaluate them, A, B, or C players. Do they have the skill? Do they have the will? Do they have the thrill? And look at each individual one. And also, are they accountable for results? Do they work above the line or below the line? Are they owners or are they victims? And if they walked in and quit to go down the street and work for your competitor, how hard would you fight to keep them? That's a question that Netflix asks each quarter for their managers to sit down, write the names of their direct reports on a piece of paper, and answer that question for each one of their direct reports. You've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to own it. You've got to see it first, then you got to own it, then you have to solve it, and then you have to do it. There's not a better time in the history of the U.S. to set someone free. They may be in the wrong place in your business. There may be other reasons behind it. But if you've got C players that are poison to your company, and we're not running a family business here, we're running a professional sports team. You can do it with compassion. You can do it with giving them a good severance package. But you've got to start setting some people free and quit walking by them and thinking the worst, that if I let them go, they're going to be living in a car next week. What about their family? That's not your responsibility. That's their responsibility to do the work and to do it in the right way and to fit into your organization. And if they don't fit, I've let a lot of people go, and I can tell you there's not one of them that 6 months later when I saw them, didn't feel like they were better off than when they were working in our organization. So it's not the end of the world, but you've got to do it. And you've got to replace those C players with A players. You'll be shocked at what it'll do to your business. Start building a virtual bench. Always be recruiting. Not necessarily hiring people, but always be recruiting. We don't go out and look for new customers only when we lose one. And we shouldn't be doing that with employees. We should always be looking for new employees, better employees, always recruiting. And all the time they're going to have a job. So you don't have to hire them right now, but you have time to vet them out. And it makes recruiting so much easier when you're not under the gun and you have to fill a spot. You can do it just constantly, a couple hours a week. Every time you see somebody, meet somebody that looks like an A player and has that enthusiasm and that smile on their face and love what they do, those are the kind of people you want to give them a card and say, hey, would you like to talk? One of these days I'm going to need somebody, and I'd really like to see if you'd be interested in coming to work for us. Coach the team you have. You got some B players in there. Coach them up to A players. Most C players can't be coached, but you've got to be building that virtual bench. And then you can top grade, and it makes you a better coach and a better leader if you have a bench over here. You can you can set people down, talk about accountability, coach them, help them. But if they don't come through and they just keep letting you down, then you have somebody over here that's better, and you could be a much better coach. You won't be walking on eggshells. So the next step, get your team characteristics together. Understand who it is you're looking for out there. Evaluate your team, A, B, and C, as we talked about. And then it's like marketing. We got to go out and recruit. And recruiting is like marketing. Someone said one time, we don't go out and get a new customer every time we lose one. We're always looking for new customers. And that's what we got to take to the recruiting. We've got to go out and find these people. They're not looking for a job. They're working for somebody else. We have to use all of our staff, our customers, business associates, family, everybody looking for these people out there. Get them all looking for them. And then recruit everywhere all the time and build, not only top grade your operation, but then keep recruiting and build that virtual bench, because you're always going to need those people. And it's the worst time in a small business owner's life when the best people they have walk in the door and quit. You need these people in a virtual bench. Just make it part of your routine.